Right now, let's take it on to what's playing out in the world of trade. We see U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to impose 100% tariffs on a bloc of 9 nations if they were to create a rival currency to the U.S. Dollar. Let's talk to Wachira Karuki now, the CEO at Adam there. He'll be talking about oil and gold as well in this conversation. Great to have you, Wachira.
Pleasure to be on Tariffs TV discussing global markets. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, Wachira. So it's all about tariffs at this point. And we know we have an African country, part of the bloc there, that's BRICS. So, talk to me about, there was a time we're all talking about de-dollarization and some countries moving away from using the US dollar to trade. But this new angle here with 100% tariffs, how much is that going to silence that whole conversation on de-dollarization of our trade?
Good question, Ladi. So this is one of those things as us as traders and fund managers call geopolitical risk. It's tied into the economic risk, and it's a very special kind of risk because it is case by case. So Donald Trump just got elected. He's coming in on the 20th, and he's made it perfectly clear that the BRICS agenda, which is the dollarization aspect of it, which is to move to an alternative currency, whether they're trading among themselves or trading with other global entities outside of the US, that they want to use something that they'll agree among themselves. Now, just for context, BRICS is in 9 countries, all right? And how this affects Africa is that 3 of the 9 countries are in Africa: Egypt, South Africa, and Ethiopia, all right? The rest are Russia, China, and a few other countries. So for Africa, this is a pretty big deal. It's a very big deal because, first of all, those 3 countries are generally probably the top 4 economies, right, outside of Nigeria. So them being in BRICS and hoping to do that would have had a big bump up on the currency strength. And Trump coming and pouring complete water on that is just an unfortunate thing. But maybe he can compensate on the other side by giving them significant increased trade through AGOA and through other forums and other international relationships and partnerships. So I suspect that he'll shut down that particular conversation by substituting with something equivalent or more beneficial to Africans and the BRICS countries at large, right? Especially Brazil. These are all growing economies. They are about to take off in a bigger way. They have development coming in. They have capitalization coming in. They have a bit of good, stable micro and macroeconomic policies. So the currency thing was just a way to run from the political excesses of the US, but so to speak. But let's see if they will find an alternative way to go about it. Remember, the reason why this is a big deal, by the way, just for educating your viewers just a little bit, is that the US can keep on printing money, something that no other country can do because they lend money in dollars. So if they print $100 billion, it does not create inflation in the country because it's a globally acceptable currency. They can take that entire $100 billion and go trade and pay debt in, say, China, assuming they have a debt with China. They can print it and go do that. No other country has that capacity and ability. So because debt is manufactured and structured in dollars, it means they can print money, something no other country is able to do without affecting the strength of the currency. And they can do that at any point in time for any particular reason. That has given them significant economic edge because they don't need to do well internally. They just need to go and borrow money and just pay money.
I guess that's why we call it King Dollar. That's why we call it King Dollar at this point. But, going forward now, let's say the BRICS countries, they actually go ahead, with their plan on using other currencies for trade.
Right.
Do you think they can absorb what's coming?
Yes and no. Aladi, the truth of the matter is that the US is a really, really strong superpower economically. It's not a joke, right? Now, especially because he said he will not bar them from trading. He said he'll put a tariff of 100%. Essentially, he's making you poor, not competitive in that particular market. There's nothing that can cost double the price that would be worth the cost for the buyer. So generally, if something is worth $10, now you're being charged 100% tax. So that product becomes $20. Between the number of Chinese manufacturers who can replace you, it will be very difficult for the BRICS to be able to participate in such a high-cost environment. And it would not be motivational. The end price of the retailer will be so much that it doesn't become, nobody starts buying your product. They have significantly disincentivized anybody from buying from you. All right. So I don't think they can absorb it. Conversely, can they trade among themselves? The US is a pretty huge economy. And the fact that it's paid in dollars is also a big plus. So I don't think it's a risk worth taking. I think it's important to wait and see what Trump would have an equivalent to compensate for saying, don't get the currency. Then the question becomes, then what can you do for us? And it becomes a give and take, which is a much better situation. So we are still waiting to see. He was just stopping one problem. Then now let's see what avenues he can have, because I think he has the best interest of America first, but also he can support Africa as we go along. But we're yet to see, and let's see how it goes.
Right, and talking about stopping one problem, global inflation 2025. What are the risks we're seeing here?
Yes, good question. Yes, global inflation, it's still pretty high. We are waiting to see. There are a couple of countries that are having, there's unusually high political risk in 2025. There are a lot of countries that are having their elections. Currently, there's a bit of wars here and there. Some have dragged on for the longest time ever. So we are really waiting to see how many wars Trump pulls his people out of, the kind of decisions he has. Remember, he has instituted a lot of government austerity measures. So that cleanup might actually make sure that there is a bit of contraction and a bit more solidity. If anything, personally, I expect the dollar to strengthen against most African currencies and global currencies at large. I foresee them doing better than they have. As you very well know, the Dow Jones jumped up after his election. The Bitcoin has hit almost $95,000 worth of valuation. Right, so they are doing better than ever. And this generally might be bad for the economies as an exchange rate. I can tell you for free that the Kenyan shilling, for the first time announced, has now hit 130 shillings, which has not done so to the dollar, which has not happened in the last 2, 3, 4 months. But here we are again. So the dollar is really strengthening against other currencies, and that might keep happening. So other countries have to find intelligent ways to strengthen and buoy up their economies without taking on too much debt, as is the norm for most African countries.
Talking about the U.S. dollar strengthening, we're seeing oil this morning and this afternoon trading in a positive direction, even though last week was a dump of about 3%, over 3% drop for Brent and WTI. What are you expecting this week for oil?
Good question. We are currently trading at $68.74 a barrel, Ladi. It has been on upside since morning when the market woke up at 1 a.m. In Asian market, there was a significant upside. European market, which opened at 10 a.m. for us because of daylight saving, has also increased by has also led to a bit of buying. All right. I think it's going to be a significant bullish market for this entire week. Good question. We're at a very strong support level of around $67.9 a barrel. So we're already up at 68.75. I foresee the market going up to at least $70 a barrel for this particular week. Personally, I'm on a buy trend for this particular commodity, and we are curious to see how, there are a few oil announcements this particular week. So those announcements on Wednesday or Thursday will directly affect the upside. But for Monday, Tuesday, I think it's a strong bull run. Wednesday, Thursday is going to be depending on the news. Friday will also be a continuation of whatever happens on Thursday. So it's still a bullish run, even though globally, as in on a larger scale, daily, weekly, the chart is trending horizontally. It's hitting a resistance and hitting a support. So it's just moving in what is called a range. But we are going to now have a break of the top or the bottom. But we are going into December, which a lot of traders, investment banks, commercial banks, hedge funds reduce their positions. So there might not be as much trading in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks as we go along. But I'm on a buy trend because I'm still trying to make some small money for my fund and my clients at large as we go into the end of the year, Q4.
Yeah, definitely. Still need to make some money, even though the trades get thin for this month. All right, well, what are you seeing for gold?
Gold and oil always generally follow each other. Commodities and currencies, commodities and metals generally trend almost the same way. So yeah, there's still a bit of instability on gold, in my opinion. We have just we closed. Yeah, we are at $2,600 announced. It really jumped from midnight to now, but let's see how it goes in the next couple of hours. Then after that, we'll make a clear decision. Monday is never a very good day to trade gold because it's influenced by U.S. market. You must always let the U.S. market open, which it does at 4 p.m. today, and then how they relate and how they adapt to the market. Tuesday is when you start trading commodities and heavy currencies, especially precious metals like gold, silver, and the rest, Ladi.
All right, I guess.
Yeah, assessment of these precious metals.
Right, I guess we'll keep watching to see how most of these commodities play out for this week. Thank you so much, Wachira Karuki. He's the CEO, African Diaspora Asset Management, or ADAM.
Always a pleasure, Ladi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.